Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. Recently, a couple of thousand volunteers took to the beaches of New Jersey to clean things up, and you're not going to believe what they found and how much they found. Cindy Ziff is the executive director of Clean Ocean Action. So when did this happen?
It happened in April 30th.
And how many volunteers were there?
Well, this spring we had 4,000.
4,000 volunteers taking to the, what beaches?
Well, basically from the Middlesex County all the way down to Cape May, and we had one up in Glen Rock.
And how much debris did you find?
Well, the numbers are still coming in, so that we ask people to take data, not just clean up the beaches, but to collect the evidence of what they're finding so that we can use the information. But we have tabulated last year's results, and we do the beach cleanup in the spring and in the fall, and in just 2 days, about 6,000 volunteers in total.
This is last year?
This is last year's cleanup, which was our 30th anniversary of doing the cleanups. The volunteers collected in just 2 days 330,000 items off the Jersey Shore beaches. And in total, over all these 30 years, we've collected over 5.7 million pieces off the Jersey Shore.
Before I get into, obviously, why that's important and what they found, which I think is fascinating, is this an indictment of the state and the local communities, the fact that they're not cleaning this stuff up, that you have to go in with volunteers and do this?
Yeah, you know what? Well, first of all, it's an indictment of we the people, because you can't blame anyone else for the litter that we're finding on our beaches. You can find them, in any park. You can find it on any highway, streetway. I mean, we are just a very, we're a littering people. We just can't seem to hold on to stuff, and we just seem to drop it anywhere and everywhere. And because, waterways and all that leads to the ocean, anything that people litter that gets into a waterway will ultimately wind up in the ocean. And if it winds up on the beaches and we can get at it, at least we get it off the beaches so it doesn't wind up in the open ocean where it can really cause a lot of damage.
But I pay for beach tags, and I'm being told that goes to cleanup of the beaches.
Well, that goes when you're out there, but there's a lot of months when you're not out there, and now is a very important time to get the litter off the beaches, not just to make them clean and spiffy for people, but to get that marine debris out of there so that it doesn't harm marine life.
And that's your big concern. And is the number one criminal when it comes to this, the litter criminal, plastic?
Yes, 70%, over 70% of the material is plastic. And I'll give you another statistic which is alarming and tells a lot about our society. 70% of that plastic debris is single-use plastic.
So it's like cans and bottles, caps. I saw that was the number one thing that was found.
Bottle caps, pieces to plastic pieces, utensils, plastic knives, forks and spoons we're finding a lot of, bags, plastic bags. It's just that we've become such a plastic and disposable society.
And what does it do to marine life exactly?
Oh, it's very harmful, and it's tragic because in a lot of instances the animals are eating these plastics because they mimic their food source. A cigarette filter floating around in the water looks like a crab or a small fish to a bird or another fish, and they'll eat them, and they'll get impacted into their stomachs. And the animals will literally starve to death with their stomachs packed full of debris. There's some very famous, unfortunately, tragic photographs of albatross chicks out in the middle of nowhere. Albatross nest where there are no humans whatsoever, and the albatross adults will go out into the sea and come back with plastics and feed them to the chicks, and the chicks literally die on the beach with their stomachs.
And it's a great point, because when there's litter on a beach, tides come in and take it out. So when you litter here, you're actually littering up and down the coastline and far out at sea.
Or even in the streets, the metropolitan areas, Philadelphia, Camden, northern New Jersey, New York, any of this, when you litter on the streets, all those storm drains lead to a waterway. So when it rains, that goes right out into the rivers.
I was looking at some of the items that were found, and I saw a rubber brain.
Yeah, some of the unusual items, yeah. I mean, you find all sorts of crazy stuff. We found a Elmo costume one year, a Mao Zedong photograph. We found a $10 bill. People find the darndest things out there.
What do you do with this stuff?
Well, fortunately, we have dedicated volunteers, and we send them out with a to separate recycling and trash, and we recycle what we can, but we send to the landfill basically what we can't. But the important thing is to get it off the beaches. And I am so impressed and inspired by the Jersey Pride that people have. They come out, rain or shine, and they dedicate 3 hours of what is so rare these days, free time, to give the beaches a good clean sweep, because the ocean gives so much to us.
Oh, that was very
joy.
well put. So with that Jersey Pride and people getting inspired, when is the next one and how can people sign up?
It's in October on the 22nd, and people can sign up by going onto our website, cleanoceanaction.org.
Great,
Very
thank
simple.
you.
Hey, thank you so
Always
much.
great to talk to you. Cindy Ziff, Executive Director, Clean Ocean Action. That wraps up Jersey Matters for this week. I'm Larry Mendte. Stick around now for another thing.